My toxic sister-in-law lied about me cheating. Now she's out of the will and playing the victim. I'm 29 and recently married the love of my life, Finn. He's 30, and our wedding was absolutely beautiful. Everything was going perfectly until his sister decided to blow up our lives. Let me introduce you to Deborah, Finn's 28-year-old younger sister. She's divorced and honestly one of the most toxic people I've ever met. I've always had a rocky relationship with her, even though I got along great with Finn's parents. With Deborah, not so much. She's constantly negative, manipulative, and full of drama. For over 8 years, yes, 8 years, I did everything I could stay on her good side. She never takes responsibility for anything and always plays the victim. She complains endlessly about her parents, friends, co-workers, exes, you name it. It's never her fault. Turns out her marriage ended because she had a gambling addiction. Yep, no one knew. She was hiding it and secretly using her ex-husband's money to pay off debts. Thousands of dollars. He finally caught on and confronted her, but she didn't take it seriously. He had no choice but to leave her. After the divorce, things only got worse. She became unbearable to be around. Still, I tried to be kind and neutral, especially since we barely saw each other more than once or twice a year. But everything changed when Finn and I got engaged. On Christmas last year, we announced our engagement to the family, and Deborah literally stormed out of the room in tears. She later apologized, saying it reminded her of her failed marriage. Yeah, right. She reluctantly agreed to be a bridesmaid and pretended to be supportive, but her behavior quickly turned cold. She started ignoring me completely, yet still showed up to all the wedding events, dress shopping, the bridal shower, everything. It was like she was collecting drama fuel. The entire time we were planning the wedding, Deborah couldn't stop criticizing every single thing out loud. Every choice we made, every detail we shared, she had something negative to say about it. My mother-in-law and even Finn himself called her out multiple times, but nothing worked. Eventually, I pulled her aside and gently asked if I had done something wrong. I had conflict, so this was a big deal for me. She just brushed me off and said everything was fine. Not long before the wedding, Finn's parents decided to organize a small family vacation, kind of a bonding trip. I was nervous about spending several days in the same house with Deborah. She was already wearing me down with her passive-aggressive energy. And sure enough, the vacation was a disaster. Deborah was in one of her moods, snapping at everyone, demanding we rearrange the furniture in the rental house because she didn't like how it was set up. Seriously. Her parents and even Finn sometimes gave in just to avoid her angry outbursts. They were literally doing whatever she asked just to keep the peace. It was exhausting. After a couple of days, I had enough. I started keeping my distance to protect my own sanity, but Deborah took it personally. One day, I politely declined her unsolicited advice about my job, and that triggered her. She accused me of being cold and mean to her, which honestly would have been just justified after everything she's done, but I kept it respectful and told her calmly, "Look, I'm a professional in my field. That's why I get paid well. I don't need your input." She doesn't even understand what I do for a living, yet still felt entitled to give me advice? The nerve. After that, she became obsessed with talking things out, constantly trying to corner me for a heart-to-heart. When I didn't engage, she turned to Finn and his mom every night after I went to bed, whining about how I treat her like she's stupid. Finn tried to defend me and explain my side, but she shut him down, said he'd changed ever since getting engaged to me. By the end of the trip, I was beyond relieved to go home and never see her again. I focused on the wedding and tried to move forward, but behind the scenes, Deborah was spreading lies about me to Finn's extended family. I might have ignored it if one of Finn's cousins hadn't called us directly. He wanted to ask about some rumors Deborah was spreading, like how I neglect Finn and how he's miserable in our relationship. Yeah, that kind of garbage. Luckily, Finn shut it down. He reassured his cousin that everything Deborah said was a complete lie, and that he's happier than ever. But it was clear she was trying to manipulate everyone into thinking I was some kind of villain. We talked about it, and Finn admitted how disappointed he was in her. He said she had officially crossed the line and was poisoning his family's view of relationship. That's when I decided I don't want that energy anywhere near my wedding. I decided it was the time to put an end to the madness. Since Finn was away on a business trip, I invited his parents and Deborah over for a private dinner. The goal? To finally confront everything face to face. Over the meal, I calmly but firmly told Deborah that if she didn't stop spreading lies about me, she would no longer be welcome at our wedding. Her reaction was explosive. She jumped up from her chair and screamed at me, claiming I had no right to speak to her that way. My mother-in-law asked her to calm down, but Deborah just kept going, shouting that I was just a poor girl who got lucky marrying her rich brother and that I needed to speak to her with respect. I stared at her, completely blank-faced, as she accused me of being a gold digger, of only being with Finn for his money. That's when my mother-in-law snapped. She shouted at Deborah to shut her mouth and scolded her for speaking to me like that. My fat father-in-law looked furious. He immediately started apologizing to me for his daughter's behavior. Deborah wasn't done though. She claimed I was only marrying Finn to steal the family inheritance. That was it. I cut her and reminded her that I come from a wealthy family too. Maybe not as rich as Finn's, sure, but we're not broke, and I've never needed a dime from anyone. I told her straight up, the real reason she looks down on me is because I'm an immigrant, and in her mind that must automatically mean I'm poor. Her eyes went wide. She started stammering, completely caught off guard. She had nothing to say. I told her this was her final warning, either change her behavior or she would be completely cut off, not just from the wedding but from our lives. She looked furious, but she didn't say another word. After the dinner, I went home still shaken up. When Finn returned from his trip, he could immediately tell something was wrong. I told him everything. As I described what Deborah had said, the gold digger accusations, the inheritance nonsense, I could literally see the anger in his eyes. He was livid. He called his parents right away and they had a long conversation. They all agreed Deborah had completely lost control and something deeper was clearly going on. They quietly reached out a few of her close friends to get the full picture. What they learned left everyone stunned. Deborah was still deep in her gambling addiction. She never stopped. And worse, she was now funding her habit with their money. Her parents had given her access to their bank account out of trust, and she was using it to feed her self-destruct. Finn's parents were terrified. They were started to realize that Deborah might blow through the entire family fortune if they didn't step in. Finn decided it was time to confront her, for real. He sat her down and tried to have a serious talk, asking her to consider getting professional help. But Deborah, as always stubborn to the core, she refused to admit she had a problem. Things quickly spiraled into chaos. When her parents cut off her access to the family bank account, Deborah completely lost it. She stormed into their house, screaming at the top of her lungs. She accused them of betrayal, told them they had no right to do this, and that her gambling addiction was none of their business. She was furious. They'd locked her out of the money, claiming it was hers too, and everyone was just trying to control her life. It wasn't just a meltdown, it was a full-on emotional explosion. Finn told me everything that happened. He was deeply shaken. He and his parents didn't know what to do anymore. They talked about bringing in professionals, therapists, addiction counselors, even support groups, but they all knew Deborah would never agree to it. A few weeks later, Finn's parents invited us over for dinner. From the moment we arrived, we could tell it wasn't a casual evening. The atmosphere was tense. They looked exhausted, worried, worn down. As we sat down, they opened up about just how scared they'd become. They admitted they were now seriously considering cutting Deborah out of the inheritance completely, not because they didn't love her, but because they feared she'd drain everything they had worked their entire lives for. Finn tried to push back. He still loved his sister despite everything. I agreed with him. As much as I disliked Deborah, I believed she had the right to her share, just like Finn. But then his mother interrupted us. With tears in her eyes, she told us something that changed everything. She had recently discovered that her late mother's jewelry, a collection worth thousands, had gone missing. Heirlooms that were supposed to be passed down through generations. They reviewed the security camera footage, and there it was, Deborah, entering their bedroom, opening the safe, taking the jewelry. Silence filled the room. It was a betrayal on a whole new level. They told us they had confronted Deborah, but she outright denied it. Even the video evidence, she refused to admit she'd done anything wrong. That was the final straw. Heartbroken, they made the devastating decision. Deborah was officially cut out of the family inheritance. Finn was speechless, shuddered, but deep down he knew they were doing the right thing. It became painfully clear. Deborah wasn't just destroying family trust, she had become a real financial threat to the entire family. Now we understood why Finn's parents were working to change their will. It was heartbreaking, but they had to protect their family's future. Finn and I supported their decision. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. In the days that followed, Finn and his parents began consulting with lawyers to update the inheritance papers. They wanted to make the language airtight, so Deborah couldn't challenge anything later. Meanwhile, our wedding day was coming up fast. Despite the chaos, I buried myself in the planning. Dress fittings, venue decor, final touches. I wanted our date to be perfect. And just when I thought things were finally calming down, Deborah inserted herself back into the wedding preparations. She showed up to the fittings, crashed the bachelorette party, and criticized everything, loudly, constantly. I finally pulled her aside gently and asked, "Did I do something wrong?" But she just rolled her eyes and stormed off. Still, the wedding day came, and it was magical. The ceremony was breathtaking, filled with flowers, love, and unforgettable mom memories. Finn and I exchanged emotional vows, and for a moment the world stood still. But in the corner sat Deborah, cold, bitter, arms crossed, scrolling. I tried my best to ignore her, to focus on the love that surrounded us. And honestly, it worked. The joy of the day outweighed her sour presence. After a dreamy honeymoon, we returned home and settled back into our routine. Life felt normal again. Until yesterday. That's when my crazy sister-in-law came crashing back into our lives. She invited herself over for dinner, saying she missed Finn and wanted to catch up. Finn asked if I was okay with it. I didn't want to be rude, so I said yes. At first, dinner was surprisingly cold, but then completely out of nowhere, Deborah launched a verbal grenade. She suddenly started ranting about how she hates cheaters, how they're worthless, disgusting people who don't deserve love. Finn and I exchanged confused glances. What was she even talking about? And then she turned her glare right at me with a smug, twisted smile and asked, "So, what is like being a worthless piece of garbage?" I stared at her completely stunned. That's when she exploded, screaming that I had cheated on Finn with a co-worker named Matt. She pulled out a stack of photos she had apparently taken herself, photos of me and Matt talking outside the office, walking together, sitting at a cafe. She waved them around like she had just cracked some huge scandal. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I had never cheated on Finn. The photos Deborah showed, they were just casual snapshots, coffee breaks, quick lunches outside the office. Because of the insane cafeteria lines at work, my coworker met and I would sometimes grab lunch at the cafe down the street. That's it, nothing more. But Deborah twisted these innocent moments into what she claimed was evidence of an affair. Her accusations had no basis at all. I felt my blood boiling. She wasn't just attacking me, she was trying to ruin my reputation to destroy my marriage. Before I could respond, Finn, clearly shocked and shaken, stepped in. He asked Deborah why she had been spying on me and secretly taking pictures without my knowledge. She started justifying it, saying she was investigating to make sure I wasn't just trying to get his money. Finn was stunned. He told her accusations were baseless and that she was just creating unnecessary drama. He tried reasoning with her, begging her to stop lying and stirring up chaos between us. But Deborah wasn't backing down. She kept calling me a manipulative gold digger, accusing me of playing with Finn's heart and money. Then she pulled out something new. A screenshot of a Facebook conversation she claimed to have had with someone at my company. In it, she asked if I was dating Matt. The response was, "They seem suspiciously close." Could be. She showed it in Finn's face, telling him he needed to wake up and see that I was a threat to his life. Finn looked at the screenshot, confused and uncertain. Even though I reassured him the photos meant nothing, I could feel something shift. His trust cracked. I felt sick. I began to protest, yelling that it was all fake, that Deborah was making it all up just to tear us apart. But then Finn turned to me and asked, "Are you sure there is nothing going on with that guy?" I froze. I couldn't believe he even had to ask. I had never done anything to make him question me. Not once, not ever. Deborah smirked, laughing like she had just won. She mocked me, saying my silence was proof that she was right, that I had been caught in a lie. I lost it. I screamed at Deborah to get out of our house. But then Finn said I couldn't talk to his sister like that. That hit me like a truck. I stared at him stunned and said, "If you don't believe me, if you actually think I could do something like this, then maybe you should leave. Take your sister with you, because I can't keep fighting for your trust if it's already gone." The tension in the room was suffocating. Deborah kept yelling that I had stole her brother, that I never loved him, that I was just using him to live in luxury. And Finn, also, he just stood there, torn between the woman he married and the sister who wanted to destroy us. Her words were pushing me over the edge. I couldn't believe how far Deborah was willing to go, the lies, the manipulation, the obsession with ruining my marriage. And at that point, I had nothing left to lose. I looked her dead in the eye and smirked. Then I said, "You know what, Deborah? You have a very unhealthy obsession with your brother, and now you officially crossed every line." She tried to interrupt, but I cut her off. I told her how sad it was that her own family didn't care half as much about her life as she cared about mine, and then I dropped the bomb. I told her that her beloved brother Finn and their parents were planning to change the will, that they were already working on rewriting it to exclude her, and it was happening right under her nose. Her face went from rage to disbelief. She started stuttering, struggling to process what I'd just said, and when the realization hit, her eyes widened with a shock. The room fell silent. Finn gestured for me to stop, maybe regretting where this was going, but I turned to him and said, "Oh no, you don't get to tell me to stop. Not after you sided with her and accused me of cheating." Caught in the firestorm between his wife and his sister, Finn looked completely lost, helpless even. Deborah just stood there, frozen, realizing the weight of what I'd revealed. Everything was unraveling. I could feel the tension choking the air in the room, and then I said it loud and clear. "Both of you, get out. I'm done with your drama. I've had enough." I looked straight at Finn. "Don't come back until you're ready to apologize for doubting me." He didn't argue. He quietly grabbed Deborah and walked out. After that, my in-laws started calling and messaging me constantly. They were worried, concerned, apologetic, but I ignored every call, every message, because after everything that had happened, I felt completely empty. Alright, before we get to the next update, write thoughts about the authors, like what she did right now in the comments. I mean, whatever just happened, you shouldn't just tell the secret that the family told you. You shouldn't just blow it onto the face of your, like said, rival. And you know, that is very, like, shame. And after that, probably the family wouldn't trust you anything else, like any other family secrets. Because I think, like, she shouldn't tell it to the Deborah, at least until the parents do it. So I think it was bad. But anyway, share your thoughts in the comments. We're going to the next update. Update 1. Thank you all so much for your comments on my last post. I really took your advice to heart. After thinking it through, I decided to file a formal complaint with HR against the same colleague who was supposed to chatting with Deborah about my affair with Matt. I haven't contacted her directly, I just don't have the energy for another conflict right now. And despite what some of you said, I don't believe Deborah is smart enough to fake an entire screenshot like that. Hopefully the truth will come out once HR calls that colleague in for questioning about the screenshot. I'll keep you updated. Update 2. It's been a week since Deborah tried to destroy my marriage, and honestly it was a total nightmare. Thank you so much to everyone who supported and comforted me during this time. I've been in a state of limbo, barely sleeping only 2-3 hours a night. I really needed some days of peace and quiet. HR finally talked to the colleague who was involved. It turned out Deborah fed her distorted stories and the colleague believed them. She admitted she messed up. The colleague actually made up this story about me and Matt, thinking it would blow over without consequences. But we have very strict anti-gossip policies at work, and she was severely punished, suspended for a whole month. This shows just how serious the consequences are for spreading false rumors. This has been a wake-up call for everyone about how dangerous baseless lies can be. My name is now cleared, and it is obvious how destructive lies can be. Finn tried to reach out to me several times over the past week. Yesterday, I finally agreed to meet with him and his parents. I made it clear I didn't want Deborah there. She agreed right away, promising she wouldn't show up while I was there. Finn looked guilty. We sat down with his parents and had a serious talk about the harm Deborah caused. Finn sincerely apologized, admitting he gave in to emotions at the time, but after thinking it through calmly, he realized how absurd her accusations were. His parents were also upset, expressed their regrets, and apologized for how deeply all this affected our relationship. Finn admitted that he let family loyalty cloud his judgment. He said he acted impulsively, and now realizing what Deborah caused, he deeply regrets not trusting me. He promised to talk to Deborah and set clear boundaries. We discussed starting couples therapy and rebuild trust and work through the fallout of her accusations. His parents promised their support, acknowledging the family needs to come together to deal with this mess. Finn also said he understood why I told Deborah about the will, that I wanted to hit back just as hard as she hit us. She wasn't angry with me for it and understood my reasons. His parents said they didn't mind me revealing the information either. They were planning to discuss it with her soon themselves. While I'm grateful for their honesty, I know I can no longer let Deborah ruin my life. I firmly told them I'm cutting all ties with her and explained that my priority is preserving my well-being and my marriage with Finn. I made it clear that Deborah's toxic influence had reached a point of no return. From now on, my priority is our family and my emotional well-being, not maintaining a relationship with someone who repeatedly causes chaos in our lives. Finn, still processing everything that happened, fully supported my decision. He understood that we really need to stay away from Deborah's destructive behavior. My in-laws were a bit upset about my decision to cut ties with Deborah, but they also agreed that she went too far and I have every right to end contact with her. After that conversation with the family, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Today, Finn is coming home after a short business trip. I missed him despite our conflict, and I'm really looking forward to spending the day together. Update 3. It's been 5 months since the last update. As expected, Deborah finally reached out a few months ago. In her message, she completely ignored the damage she caused us. She justified her baseless accusations by saying she was trying to protect her brother and kept insisting that I'm a threat to their family. The message was full of even more accusations, for example, claiming that I forbid Finn from talking to her and that I destroyed their family while conveniently playing the victim, totally ignoring all the chaos she herself caused. Deborah showed absolutely no remorse or even basic understanding on how serious her actions were, which only strengthened my decision to stay away from her. In the following month, Finn and I focused on rebuilding the trust in our marriage. We went to couples therapy to work through the fallout from her accusations. Those sessions helped us communicate better and understand each other's feelings. Slowly but surely, our relationship began to heal. We continued to keep our distance from Deborah, despite occasional attempts by her parents to reconcile us. We stand firm and protect our peace of mind. Life is finally settled into a calmer rhythm. Work, family, and shared moments have become our priorities. We found strength in each other and left behind the chaos Deborah brought into our lives. Finn and I have grown stronger as a couple and learned to overcome challenges together. Though the scars from her actions still remain somewhere, our commitment to each other grows stronger every day. Choosing to prioritize our marriage over a toxic relationship was the right decision. It has brought stability and genuine happiness into our lives. So, that's all for now. Share your thoughts about this story in the comments. Personally, I think the author had the right to cut off the ties with Deborah after she did. So, but it seems like when Deborah just blames everyone else, not herself, cuts off ties with everybody, blaming everybody with, So, that's all for now. Share your thoughts in the comments about this story. So that's all for now. Share your thoughts in the comments about this story. Personally, I think author did the right thing to cut off the ties with Deborah after what she did. But it seems that Deborah cutting the ties with everybody and blaming always others, like always feeling wrong. But here, like the author herself seems like Deborah, because you might say it's not the same thing and the scale is probably completely different, but still that thought just popped into my head, because the author, of course, always was blaming the Deborah, and probably she shouldn't just go out with Matt and give the reason to have a. So that's all for now. Share your thoughts about this story in the comments. My opinion, I think the author did the right thing to cut her ties with the Deborah after what she did. But the thing is, with blaming others, blaming the Deborah always, and giving the reason with going out with Matt to the coffee or lunch breaks, and giving the reason for suspect her, she's like the Deborah herself, who is always blaming others and cutting the ties with everybody else. Anyways, yeah, but you can say it's just not the same thing, and like it's probably completely different, but still this thought just popped into my head. So thanks for watching this video. Of course, press the like button, of course subscribe to the channel and wait for the next video. Before that, of course, watch the previous video right here. And that's all. Good luck to you.